Imagine a world where clothes were a luxury only the divine could afford. Before the t-shirt in your closet was a basic staple, it was a miracle, a vegetable lamb that grew on trees. But behind this soft, white fiber lies a story written in blood, greed, and the rise and fall of entire civilizations. You think you know the history of the clothes on your back? Think again. This is the twisted secret history of the white gold that built and nearly broke the modern world. Thousands of years ago, in two corners of the globe that didn't even know the other existed, humans made a discovery that would change everything. In the Indus Valley of modern-day Pakistan and the coastal deserts of Peru, people were harvesting a fluffy white weed. Archaeologists have found scraps of cotton fabric in Pakistan dating back nearly 7,000 years, tucked away in the ruins of the Indus Valley civilization. On the other side of the planet, in Peru, ancient fishermen were twisting the same fluffy fiber into nets, completely unaware that another civilization was doing the exact same thing. Two peoples, separated by an entire ocean, had independently unlocked the same secret. It was as if the plant itself was waiting to be found. To the ancient Greeks, cotton was a myth. Explorers returned with tales of trees that bore wool more beautiful than sheep's wool. They literally believed there were tiny lambs growing inside these pods, connected to the earth by a stem. It was sacred. It was mysterious. And for a long time, it was the East's greatest secret. The Greek historian Herodotus wrote of these strange wool-bearing trees in India, describing a fiber so fine it seemed to belong to another world. For millennia, India was the center of the cotton universe. They perfected the art of turning raw, sticky seeds into woven air, fabrics so light and fine that a single dress could be pulled through a wedding ring. It was the ultimate status symbol. Roman emperors paid fortunes for it. Caliphs in Baghdad demanded it. The very word cotton traces back to the Arabic word qutn, carried into Europe along ancient trade routes by merchants who guarded their sources like state secrets. Along the Silk Road, cotton traveled beside spices and silk, changing hands dozens of times before it ever reached a European market. By the time it arrived, it had passed through so many hands that most buyers had no idea it began as a humble plant in a faraway field. But as the world's hunger for this white gold grew, the peaceful, sacred trade of the ancient world was about to take a dark, violent turn. The story of cotton isn't just about fashion. It's about power. For centuries, the West was stuck in heavy, itchy wool and stiff linen. They were desperate for the comfort of the East. But they didn't just want to buy the cotton, they wanted to own it. They wanted to control the seeds, the looms, and the people who worked them. As the medieval world gave way to the age of discovery, the fabric of the gods became the prize of empires. Ships began to cross the oceans, not just for spices or gold, but for the soft white fiber that could clothe a planet. European traders returning from India brought back samples so fine that nobles at royal courts refused to believe they were woven by human hands. But to turn cotton from a luxury into a global commodity, the world would need two things it didn't have: unlimited land and an endless supply of forced labor. The stage was set for a tragedy of global proportions. The vegetable lamb was about to become the engine of the greatest human rights catastrophe in history. The white gold of history has no shortage of drama. Here is the next stage of the journey, where the sacred fiber becomes a tool of industrial warfare and high-stakes espionage. For centuries, the West was obsessed with Indian calicos and muslins. They were lighter, brighter, and easier to wash than anything Europe could produce. But the British Empire didn't want to be a customer, they wanted to be the boss. In the 1700s, the British began a campaign of industrial espionage that would make a modern tech company blush. They sent travelers, who were actually corporate spies, into the heart of India to steal the secrets of cotton weaving and dyeing. They weren't just looking for techniques, they were looking for the seeds. This was the original intellectual property theft. But the British had a problem. Their cold, damp island was a terrible place to grow a tropical plant. They had the machines starting to hum in Manchester, but they had no fuel. Back home, British wool and linen makers were so threatened by cheap, beautiful Indian cotton that lawmakers passed the Calico Acts, actually banning the sale of Indian cotton cloth in England. It didn't work. People loved cotton too much, and a thriving black market kept the fabric flowing in anyway. So the British changed strategy entirely. If they couldn't beat Indian cotton, they would build their own version of the entire industry from scratch. They needed a new cotton kingdom, and they found it across the Atlantic. While the spies were stealing secrets in the East, a revolution was brewing in the West. Inventors raced to mechanize the process, first with the spinning jenny, then the water frame, each machine spinning thread faster than a dozen human hands ever could. Steam power soon joined the mix, and suddenly the bottleneck wasn't spinning thread anymore. It was getting enough raw cotton to feed the machines. In 1793, a young man named Eli Whitney invented a simple wooden box with wire teeth, the cotton gin. Before this, cleaning the sticky seeds from a single pound of cotton took an entire day of backbreaking manual labor. With the gin, one machine could do the work of 50 people. Suddenly, cotton wasn't just a crop, it was a gold mine. The world's demand for cheap clothing was exploding, and the American South had the perfect soil and the perfect climate to meet it. But there was a catch. The machine could clean the cotton, but it couldn't plant it, tend it, or pick it. Ironically, the invention meant to save labor ended up increasing the demand for it, because now that seeds could be cleaned so quickly, planters wanted vastly more acres in cultivation. To feed the hungry looms of England, the white gold rush would require a human sacrifice on a scale the world had never seen. As the 1800s dawned, the sacred history of cotton was officially dead. It was no longer the fabric of the gods. It was the currency of the global economy. Fortunes were being made in London and New York, all built on a fiber that was becoming inseparable from the sound of the whip and the smell of the swamp. Banks financed plantations, insurance companies covered human beings as property, and shipping magnates grew rich moving bales across the Atlantic, all quietly complicit in the same machine. The stage was set for cotton to become the most controversial plant on Earth. By the mid-1800s, cotton was the most important commodity in the world. It was the oil of the 19th century. If you controlled the cotton, you controlled the global economy. In the American South, this led to the creation of a cotton kingdom, a society entirely engineered around the production of this one single fiber. But this kingdom was built on a foundation of bone. To keep the price of cotton low and the profits high, millions of people were forced into the most brutal system of labor imaginable. The transatlantic slave trade had already carried millions of Africans across the ocean in horrific conditions, and cotton's explosive growth created an even greater demand for enslaved labor within the United States itself. Entire families were bought, sold, and separated to keep pace with the endless appetite of the cotton fields. A domestic slave trade that tore apart hundreds of thousands of lives. The twisted history isn't just a metaphor here. It's the literal twisting of human lives to serve a global market. Cotton didn't just fund the South. It funded the banks in the North and the factories in Europe. Everyone was wearing the profit, and no one wanted to look at the cost. The world was addicted. From the grand ballrooms of Paris to the slums of London, everyone wanted cotton. It was the first truly global consumer product. This massive demand created a bull market that felt like it would never end. Land prices skyrocketed. The population of the South shifted entirely to accommodate the crop. Yet resistance never stopped. Enslaved people resisted in countless ways, from work slowdowns to daring escapes along routes like the Underground Railroad, chipping away at a system built to look unbreakable. Abolitionist movements grew louder on both sides of the Atlantic, and cotton merchants in Britain quietly worried that their profits were becoming a moral liability they could no longer ignore. But as the world became more dependent on this white gold, the tension was reaching a breaking point. The very fiber that was holding the global economy together was about to tear a nation apart. Southern leaders were so confident in cotton's power that they believed Britain and France would intervene in the coming civil war just to protect their supply. A gamble that became known as King Cotton diplomacy. It never worked. Britain found new cotton sources in Egypt and India, and the South's greatest weapon turned out to be far weaker than anyone expected. The white gold was about to be stained red. The white gold rush is moving from the fields to the factories. Here is the next stage of the story, where cotton triggers the greatest shift in human history, the Industrial Revolution. While the American South was the heart of production, the north of England was the lungs. By the mid-1800s, the city of Manchester had earned a new, grittier nickname, Cottonopolis. This was the birthplace of the modern world, a city built entirely on the back of a single plant. But the transformation wasn't pretty. To turn that raw, white fiber into the cheap shirts the world was clamoring for, the British invented a new kind of empire, the factory system. Imagine stepping into a mill in 1840. The noise is deafening. 1,000 iron looms clattering at once. The air is thick with cotton lung, a fine white dust that settled deep in the chests of the workers. This was the machine that ate the world. It didn't just consume cotton, it consumed time, health, and childhood. Because cotton was so light and the machines so intricate, factory owners realized they could use smaller hands to keep the gears turning. This fiber, once considered a fabric of the gods, was now being spun by the exhausted hands of children working 14-hour shifts. Some children as young as 6 worked as scavengers, crawling beneath moving machinery to clear away lint and cotton dust, a job that cost many their fingers or worse. Reformers eventually pushed through factory acts limiting child labor and working hours, but change came slowly, and only after decades of documented injury and suffering forced the public to pay attention. Workers who resisted the new machines entirely became known as Luddites, smashing looms they believed were stealing their livelihoods, a rebellion the government crushed with brutal force. But there was a method to the madness. For the first time in human history, clothing became disposable. Before cotton, a person might own 2 outfits in their entire life, one for work and one for Sunday. Cotton changed the human psychology of want versus need. It was the birth of the consumer. Because the mills could produce miles of fabric every hour, the price plummeted. Suddenly, a factory worker in London could dress like a gentleman, and a farmer in the Midwest could afford curtains for his windows. This was the democratization of comfort, but it came with a hidden psychological price. Whole towns sprang up around a single mill, and workers who once lived by the rhythm of the seasons now lived by the ringing of a factory bell. We began to value the new over the durable. The twisted nature of cotton's history is that it gave us the modern world's greatest convenience while simultaneously creating a cycle of endless consumption that we are still trapped in today. Fast forward to today. You might think the dark history of cotton ended with the abolition of slavery or the closing of the Victorian mills. But the ghost of the loom still haunts us. Cotton is a thirsty, demanding crop. To produce enough fiber for just one pair of jeans, it takes nearly 2,000 gallons of water. In Central Asia, the quest for white gold led to one of the greatest environmental disasters in history, the total disappearance of the Aral Sea, once the 4th largest lake in the world, drained dry to irrigate cotton fields. Fishing villages that once sat on the shoreline now stand miles from any water at all, surrounded by nothing but sand and rusting boat hulls, a haunting monument to the cost of chasing cheap fiber. For decades, Uzbekistan's cotton harvest relied on forced labor as well, with reports of students, teachers, and public employees pulled from their jobs each year and sent into the fields under government pressure. And the human cost? It hasn't vanished, it's just moved. In the fast fashion hubs of the modern world, the same pressures that drove the mills of Manchester, the need for more, faster, and cheaper, still lead to stories that would sound familiar to a 19th century weaver. In 2013, the collapse of a garment factory building in Bangladesh killed over 1,000 workers, a tragedy that exposed just how little had truly changed in the safety and treatment of textile laborers worldwide. From the chemicals used in the fields to the shadow factories hidden in global supply chains, the white fiber is still deeply entangled with struggle. Pesticides and fertilizers used on conventional cotton crops have been linked to health problems in farming communities, particularly in developing nations where safety regulations are thin or unenforced. There is a brighter thread in this story too. Organic cotton farming, fair trade certification, and recycling programs are all attempts to cut that thread of exploitation once and for all. Some designers are now experimenting with regenerative farming methods that aim to restore soil health rather than exhaust it, a quiet rebellion against 2 centuries of relentless extraction. Whether these efforts are enough remains an open question, but they represent the first real attempt in cotton's long history to put people and the planet ahead of pure profit. So, the next time you pull on a simple cotton t-shirt, take a second to look at the tag. You're not just wearing a piece of fabric. You're wearing the legacy of ancient myths, industrial spies, global wars, and a plant that quite literally wove the fabric of our modern lives. The vegetable lamb may have been a myth, but the impact of cotton is the most real and most twisted story in your closet. The question is, now that you know the cost of the white gold, can you ever look at your clothes the same way again? Let us know in the comments section and tell us which topic you will love to hear next. Thanks, and see you in the next one.